Hi, everybody. It's me, April Henry. You can find me at aprilhenry.com. I'm doing my Facebook Live this week, and I'll be doing them next week as well at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll also be on putting the videos on YouTube and on my Facebook channel. So today's lipstick is something that I found in my basket of stuff in my office. It has no brand. It's probably just some kind of colored chapstick because I'm not a big lipstick wearer. So I thought I would give you guys a little tour of what I keep in my office and also answer some random questions I've gotten. So a lot of the stuff that I keep in my office has to do with my mom. My mom died October 1st, 2013. Was really close to her. So one of the things I have, she used to have this in her kitchen. It's Lord help me remember that nothing is going to happen to me today that you, and then I think it says, and I, but she crossed that out, that you can't handle. So I keep that as a reminder of her. This is a self-portrait that she painted. It's pretty accurate of how she looked. And as you can see, I'm starting to look like her. My mom wanted to be an artist, but her parents told her that only crazy people were artists. So she never really pursued that dream, except as she got older, she started making more and more stuff. She painted, she did fabric art, she crocheted rag rugs. She made those button necklaces that a lot of you have seen. If you see me doing events, I'll be wearing a button necklace my mom made. Here's a painting that she painted. I get confused with the way this display works. It's not like a mirror. They actually flip it. And when my first book came out, my mom had her friend make this framed illustration of it for me. So it kind of comes off the edges there. When back years and years and years ago, when I wanted to be an author and I wasn't one, my parents both sent me this card. So my dad said, "Happy birthday, April. I certainly admire your persistence in continuing to sit down in front of your computer regularly and continuing to produce copy. It isn't easy, I know. Success depends on getting your material to the right editor, the one who will appreciate your work, and there's no way of knowing in advance what that will be. We're very proud of you. Don't give up. We love you very much. Love, Dad." And that was before I had an agent or anything. And my mom said, "Dear April, I was reminded of you the other day when I saw a little girl that seemed so like you. You were always so sure and seemed so independent and knew what you wanted. To me, you still seem sure. In the past, you have always attained your goals. So now you want to be a published writer. A lot of pain to get there, true. But like the little girl who had the brains to get what she wanted back then, you still do, and so you shall." And my parents wrote that to me probably 5 years before I got an agent, maybe 10 years before I got published. So if you have somebody in your life that wants to do something, try and have the kind of confidence in them that my parents did in me. Some of the other stuff that I have in my office is kind of random. So I just saw this in a antique store and I fell in love with it. They're hand-colored photos of a girl who clearly wanted to be a dancer, and the costumes are probably better than her actual dancing. My daughter really wants this, but she's gonna have to wait till I'm dead to get it. I also have this little photo of my grandmother who was born in the 1880s, and she was a contradiction. Who can really know how people work? She was racist, and she also taught these immigrant Hispanic children. And I don't know how to reconcile those two things, but it's true. It's true how she was. And she also is the one that suffered that terrible thing when she was 18. Her her dad shot her boyfriend for kissing her and killed him. And I'm sure that affected her for the rest of her life. It was a huge secret that nobody knew. It was able to stay hidden until the internet came along. And her dad's defense when he appealed his murder conviction was that he couldn't trust her. He basically said that she was a floozy and that if he hadn't killed this boyfriend, he would have gotten her pregnant. And I wonder how the people of the town treated her after that. Did they feel that that she had led this boy on, that it was her fault that he had been murdered? I have long wanted to do a story that's part historical and part in the present time, maybe some kind of ghost story where I could reunite them. I feel sad when I think of how after her boyfriend died, she lived at home for like another 12 years. And 10 of those years, her dad was out of prison and living with them. So I just think of what the tension must have been like, and for how the town might have treated her. I don't know. It's always kind of touched my heart. Let's see. I have also in my office, I have fan art. So this is an amazing portrait that I got from a girl in Oklahoma. Oh, and I'm going to remember her name. It starts with a W, and it's unusual. She's actually done a couple of portraits of me, and I feel like she really captures me. From I believe these girls in Omaha, Nebraska, maybe the super creepy hand that I was very difficult to get in my luggage. It's ceramic, and it's based on the girl who was supposed to die. She has her fingernails pulled out. I know it doesn't happen in the page though. So they did this super bloody, gross. Actually, I think they gave her more fingernails pulled out than I gave the girl. But I managed to carry this home in my luggage, and I keep it here in my office. I also have. I love old mug shots. So here's an old mug shot that I have. Doesn't this guy look dapper? You can buy them on eBay if you just look for antique mug shots. Here's a couple of guys that I had framed. There's also old mug shots. One's from 1946 and the other's from 1939. Sometimes, I don't know, they end up with police department people and they end up selling them off. I also have how to do jiu-jitsu for men and women. This is from the 40s, or I believe, judging by that amazing hat that lady is wearing. So I didn't really think of jiu-jitsu as being something that old. Sometimes people want to know why I like jiu-jitsu. I'm definitely not the regular person who does jiu-jitsu. It's usually guys in their 20s or maybe early 30s who wrestled in high school. But I kind of got into it sideways. So I had taken a kickboxing class that had no contact, that was taught by a guy who had a black belt in Kachikembo. He offered to teach us Kachikembo, which is a mixed martial art. And I went through that and got my orange sash, my purple sash, and then the guy lost that job. And so I went looking for another kind of martial art that I could do. I settled on Kung Fu, which is very similar to Kachikembo, and they always had a little bit of groundwork as part of their training. It was like the idea was if you fall on the ground with somebody who's attacking, you need to know how to fight back. And I was like, I'm going to do the minimum possible because it is creepy and weird to roll around on the ground with a stranger. And instead it turned out that I loved it. So back when we can have close contact with people again, I would totally recommend women doing jiu-jitsu. It's great self-defense, and more schools like my own school are offering a women's only class. In fact, once I got my blue belt, I started teaching the women's only class. Let's see, I also have this extremely cool Forbes handy accident reporting kit. And so this, I guess, when you went out to an accident, you would recreate it on a piece of paper. You would use these tiny stamps to show what had happened. So here's a little truck stamp. And this is another eBay find. It's totally ridiculous because why. I don't need this, but it was just when I saw it on somebody's post one time online, I thought I want one of those. A lot of people, whoops, no, I don't want to end it. A lot of people have asked about Roald Dahl. So there's my postcard from Roald Dahl. I actually used to have two from him. I thought of him as a close personal friend, which, you know, when you're like 11 or 12, that's possible. I'm sure he didn't think about much of me at all, but he did send me this postcard after I sent him a short story, and he told me how much he liked it. It says, "Dear April, I loved your story about Herman the Frog. I read it aloud to my daughter Ophelia, who also loved it. I read it to my secretary Hazel, who giggled. And what he doesn't say is he took it with him to lunch, and he showed it to his editor. She had a children's magazine called Puff and Post. It might be something similar to like if Scholastic printed students' writings in their newsletters. And so that lady contacted me and asked if she could publish my story. And of course I said yes. I have actually lost the magazine. It's very hard to find anybody that has these magazines from the early 1970s. I have tried buying them online on the UK eBay, but you have to find somebody who is like a hoarder, basically, to have all these cheap little printed things. So I haven't found a copy of it yet. I even talked to the person who was, her paperwork went to a university in Birmingham, England, and I talked to them and they didn't have a copy of it. So I don't actually have a copy of my story. This was back before photocopiers were widespread. So I just sent it off to her. One time though, I was reading through some old issues of the magazine and I found a really amazing poem by this guy who was maybe 9 or 10 when he wrote it. And when I looked him up, he'd actually become a writer at The Guardian. And I contacted him via Twitter and I said, "Did you write this poem?" And he said yes, and he seemed almost embarrassed by it. But you could tell even back then that he had a lot of talent. So I guess that's it for most of my tour today. Let me see if there's anything I can respond. Why is this not scrolling anymore? Oh, there we go. So thank you for your nice words, and I guess that's it. Leave any comments you have here or on YouTube, and I will get back to them later. I'm going to do broadcasts all next week, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh, people have already started sending me samples of their writing based on the prompts that I'm putting up. If you want to send me a sample of your writing, I'm going to be putting most of them on my website, aprilhenry.com. So until next Monday, you guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.